Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I am going to talk about the Digitakt II. Yes, it's real. Here it is. I had the privilege of being able to help test this, and I wanted to make a quick video on things that really jumped out at me and things that will probably jump out at you the first time you see it. First thing I noticed right away was the 8 pages. So you have 128 steps per track, which is amazing, or up to 8 pages. So you can do a lot with that. So you're no longer limited to 4-bar phrases. You can now do 8 bars. And if you slow it down, you can do, even more. By slow it down, what I mean by that is going into the track speed and setting that to 1/2. And then you can get 16-bar phrases, which is a lot. All right, so the other thing I wanted to mention was the keyboard button. That was something that jumped out at me. I'm just going over some physical things to start with. So you see the keyboard button, you can tap that. You can use Funk with that to get to the keyboard setup, which is nice, much easier to get to. And the FX button. So if I tap FX, that jumps to the FX page. If you do function plus that, you'll get to the configuration of those. You'll notice that there's 3 effects here. There's the delay, reverb, and the chorus, which is really cool to have, all 3 of those. And there's this little page system that they have with these dots, so you can move between the 3 pages. Might be kind of hard to see in the video, but let me go to one that has a lot of pages, and you can see, like, as you go through, you can jump around. So the navigation has been a little bit more standardized, which is great. Okay, elephant in the room, up to 16 stereo tracks. That's huge because in Electron boxes, each track, you get so much value out of it that having 16 of them, because they're sequencers, you can just mess with lots of stuff. So it's really great to have 16 of those. The other thing is in the sampler, the length is 66 seconds. And also mention that the inputs now are balanced. So they're balanced inputs. And what else do I want? I shouldn't have started just going through stuff because there's so much stuff. Oh, kits, duh. It's like another thing. You have this mode where you can go in and you just tap this perform button and you can load presets now. So instead of calling them sounds, they're now called presets, which is actually good because I know a lot of people that just were calling them that. So I think it's a good change. So you can save and load presets, including MIDI presets, which is very cool. And you can save and load kits, which was basically, like, I only have one on here because I was just doing testing, but it just loaded up. It's just a single click, and then you pick which kit you want, and it just loads it up. And that's it for all 16 tracks. Not going to go through a ton of stuff with that because, like I said, there's going to be a lot more videos. A lot of other people are going to be talking about this, obviously. Okay, so I mentioned kits, and I mentioned, what else do I want to mention? Oh, 3 LFOs. So there's 3 LFOs per track. Remember when I said you get a lot out of tracks? Well, 3 LFOs per tracks, and each of those LFOs can do a lot of things. On the MIDI setup, this is really cool. Let me see if I can show this without, because I didn't really. Okay, this is a MIDI track. I mentioned you can save and recall MIDI, but the one thing that I found really cool, and I'm sorry I don't have this configured right now because I was doing other things when I was testing, but you can now name the values, which is a huge deal. But you also have, instead of just having 8 CCs or 8 CCs, you can now have 16, which is awesome. So there's 2 pages where you configure them and set those up. So that was really cool. And there's 2 MIDI LFOs per MIDI track. So that's another upgrade. There's a lot of things where it's just like twice as much, or 4 times as much. There's all these upgrades. Let's talk about storage real quick. So when you go into a sample, let me go to a track. The samples are organized into banks. They're called RAM banks, and there's 128 samples per bank. So I believe the total is 1,016 samples per project. That's a lot. Each sample, like I know the sampler to resample or to make samples is 66 seconds, which is a nice big upgrade. And then up to 1,016 samples per project. The other thing is that there's 20 gigabytes in here for storage, so you can put, you know, a lot of samples inside of this thing. And filter, I'll show a little quick tip here. When the filter parameter button is lit up, if you do function source, or that's for machine, to select the machine, when the filter button is lit up, it'll go directly to the filter selector. That's just a little trick or tip when you're using this. And then when you hit function machine, usually on a track, that will allow you to pick different machines, including MIDI. So that's where you choose how you want things to play and MIDI. Another new machine in here is Stretch. So there's a more thorough version of Stretch versus where we had Warp, which was called Weird Warp, if you've used that. So Stretch is new. And there's a ton of other touches and things all throughout it. I was making a quick test track. I'm just going to play it, mess around with that real quick so you can hear. Made this like 5 minutes ago, so I'm trying to remember the tracks. That's the only disadvantage of 16 tracks, is keeping track of them. Okay, that was the hat. That's right. All right. So now let me see. I'm going to bring out a couple things here. I had this breakbeat thing. I want to see if that fits in here. Not too bad. I got to tighten that up a little bit. Just had some texture stuff here. I'm not sure if this is going to even be able to hear this. Drop some things out so we can hear it. Yeah, I was just layering some filters and stuff to make some weird stuff. That was the track I didn't like, and I knew I was going to press it. That's funny. All right, so I'll leave this as is. Anyway, I just wanted to play you something at least. I wasn't going to do some big performance. Not yet. I'll do more stuff. A couple other quick things to mention. When you go into the setup here, one of the cool things is now you can configure which tracks you are going to do Control All on. If you're an Electron person, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I can turn off a bunch of tracks, and you'll see the MIDI tracks are indicated, which is cool. So they're not, obviously, Control All doesn't go to MIDI tracks, just so you know. So that's a really cool thing. Now you can configure how you want Control All to work, and you have more control. The other thing is for the compressor now, you actually have the ability to set which tracks are going to the compressor, including the send effects, which I thought was a really nice touch. So you can decide whether the send effects themselves go through the compressor. I think I'll stop there. I know I'm probably forgetting about like 50 or 100 other things, but that's part of the fun, right? You'll get this. But the big things for me were the 128 pages And 16 stereo tracks is huge. I mean, that to me was the thing that really jumped out, you know, working with it. And then I think I mentioned the comb filter, and there's a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, I hope this was informative. If you have any questions, because I know these probably aren't out there yet, but if you have questions, yeah, just ask me a question and I'll see if I can answer it. And have a great day. Thanks a lot.